Hello guys, Commander, and welcome to another video on PC Building Simulator. Now, since the last video, we have got a brand new update for PC Building Simulator, and that includes a lot more than what we've got here today, but I'm going to go through as much of it as I possibly can, all the main parts anyway that we possibly can. We've got, these are the, well, two of the three cases. This case and this case is the new case. Two of the new cases that we've got in this episode. There are a lot more. If you can go on the PC Building Simulator Steam Workshop or Steam website, you can see all the cases that we've got. And this is just one that I did from last time, but it is the one from last time, but for the sake of this video, what we're actually trying to do, it really doesn't make any difference. All the difference I've just made, I've taken out the two Radeon cards which are in here, and replace it with what we're going to be putting in them today for benchmarking purposes, as well as change the 32 gigs of RAM to, no, the 64 gigs of RAM to the 32 gigs of RAM, because it's the same as what we've got in these two PCs over here. So, there's a number of different things that have been added in this game. One of them is the AMD Ryzen 9 16-core 3950X. Now, if you don't know what this CPU is, this is the CPU that has been blowing Intel out of the water, and I'm not saying that lightly. They are absolutely beating Intel's backside as far as CPU, like speed and CPU stuff is concerned. They are dominating. Now, they've done it again with the Threadripper, with their latest Threadripper, but that's not in the game yet. So when that gets put in, we'll do some benchmarking on that and compare it with this CPU as well. But I want to put that CPU into actual practice in this game and bench it up against this PC, which is a 9900K. Bear in mind, I'm not expecting it to bench as high as this because that's a 16-core CPU and this one is only 8 cores, but it's the top of the range for gaming as it stands anyway. So they've got the 9900K. And we've also got over here the 9980XE. Now, I'm pretty sure the 9980XE is a 16-core CPU. 9980. Oh, it's an 18-core. So, theoretically, this should go higher. Now, if we go to the AMD Ryzen 9, which is here. Now, it's 4.7, so it's slightly higher clock speed, but only by like 100 megahertz. In the grand scheme, it doesn't really make so much of a difference, as we've seen with the GPUs and CPUs in the past. But 16-core CPU, so it does a good job. It's basically, it's higher than this, it's double this, but it's, well, it's not double this. This is, so the 9980XE is double the 9900K, but this one's 2 cores lower than the 9980XE, the Ryzen 9 3950X, sorry. So, I'm interested to see how they benchmark, but there's a reason why it's got no graphics card in this. Now, the reason why it's got no graphics card in it is because something else has been added in this game, is the Super Edition graphics cards. And what I mean by that is, right, if we go to 2080, right, so, as we've got with these graphics cards here, so we've got the 2080s and 2080 Ti's and whatnot, but if we scroll down, we've got the 2080 Super. Now, what the 2080 Super is if we go, so we've got the Gigabyte AOS GeForce RTX 2080, so it's the Gigabyte edition, right? So if we go to the standard 2080 that's made by Gigabyte, that's 2080 Ti. So we've got 2080 here, so that's, look at the clock speed there. If we go to the Super, the clock speed is significantly more. So I want to do benchmarking on how much more of benchmarking score they actually get between the difference of them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do this systematically. Each of these, so I'm basically going to do 2 tests in this video. I want to test the, I'm going to put 2 2080 Ti's in these different PCs. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put one 2080 Ti in it because it really doesn't make much of a difference as far as SLI is concerned. So, we're going to put a 2080 Ti in each of these. We're obviously going to go, there isn't an Extreme Edition of the Ti's, is there? No, there isn't. We're going to go for the Extreme Edition because it's the highest clock speed for what we're getting. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to stick one of these in each, and we're going to benchmark each of the PCs to see which CPU is best and see which one benches higher. I want to know what it is singularly. I want to know what it is altogether. So which one actually benches higher as an individual process and which one benches higher based on the different stuff that we like, an altogether system. Now, these PCs, although they are slightly different, they are pretty much the same. The only difference is obviously the motherboards got to be different because they're all different like models of CPU. One's a server PC, one's a server side Intel, one's a consumer side Intel, and one's an AMD. So you can't. Their motherboards are obviously different. The RAM's exactly the same, graphics cards exactly the same. The coolers are only slightly different, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And the M.2 is different in the server one. Only just because the nature of the server motherboard isn't compatible with this Patriot Viper 2TB M.1 M.2, should I say? Sorry, but with this the only difference it actually makes in all fairness, it don't really make too much of a difference, but it's just got higher read transfer speed, and again, in the grand scheme of things, as far as benchmarking is concerned, it doesn't make that much of a difference, so I'm not even going to bother faff about with it. It just means that we get to install our programs a little bit quicker. But that one I think has got the programs already installed. It might not do. I can't quite remember. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, let's stick a USB stick into each one of these. So that's one in there. Stick that one in there. Set that one going. Stick a USB drive into this one. Set that one going. Did I set this one going? On, please. Oh no, I'm put a power supply in this one. Hang on a minute. 850 watt. That's the one I put in all of the in the other one. And your cable up. There we go. And power on. Nice. You're powering up nicely. Good, good, good. And put a USB in you just in case you haven't got your stuff on installed on you. Power on. Nice. So, let's go for 3D Mark. Oh god, that's quick. And system info, obviously. Restart. Nice. We're not going to bother overclocking because I can't be bothered. So again, 3D Mark. No. System info. Yes. And are you... Oh no. Oh no, this ain't got a graphics card in it. Hang on a minute. This ain't going to work. 2080 Ti. Like that. That goes in there. Plug it in. Power on. Bob's your uncle. Nice. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just waiting for the server one to go. I'm just going to boot up system info, boot up 3D Mark, and set that going. Same with this one. Boot up system info, boot up 3D Mark, set the running benchmark. And if we just go in here, so we got 3D Mark. See, as you can see, with fast transfer speed, it's going to say it doesn't make much of a difference. So, what we're looking at temps-wise on the Ryzen, within relatively, like, acceptable, like areas, we're running at 72 degrees, and the clock speed is 38.1, so the FPS is about 38.1, which isn't too bad. The Intel 9900K was working at about 35 FPS, which we sort of expect because it's lower spec than the Ryzen 9. And the 9980 XE is actually holding up about 30 FPS, but the temperatures are not like going up very high. The temperatures are relatively sound actually, which is a bit weird considering. We'll have a look at the benchmarks afterwards, but yeah, that's quite weird because this AMD Ryzen is $900 US. It's not. I'll put the price up for what it is on the screen now because this is MSRP, and it's for that. If you go on something like Amazon or something, it's a lot cheaper. But this is a consumer CPU. Like, it's not like a Threadripper that's built for big servers. It's a consumer CPU. It's something you can buy quite readily, and it's like in AMD's lineup. So we've got 12,270. So the GPU score, 12,450. That's quite high. I don't think... What we got for the 9900K? 12,450. Oh, that's dead on, isn't it? Right, what's this one? Okay, so that's the graphics card score. I think I was looking at the wrong... Was I looking at the wrong one? Was I looking at the CPU score? The graphics card score, the CPU score's there. I'm an idiot. I'm an actual idiot. And we'll prove this in a second when those two finish. I was looking at the wrong one. CPU's over here. Why am I such this... Well, I gotta say, why am I this bad? Like, legit. Oh, God, I'm gonna be kicking myself when I go back and edit this video. I really am. Anyway, so, this graphics card score, 8334. Now, overall, that makes this an 8444. Yeah. this CPU's actually better than that one. Actually, that's quite interesting. Let's see what the AMD one is. So it doesn't make much of a difference between the Intels, because like it's innovative. That's actually a better CPU than the 9980XC. Maybe it's because it's server and this is consumer. But I'm interested to see what the 9900K is in comparison with this. Oh, it blows it out of the park as far as CPU score is concerned. That AMD Ryzen 9 3950X is a machine. Hasn't. What was the 9900K? 10,613. So it's only just like a thousand more, but Christ, like that sort of makes a little bit of sense thinking about it though. But why does it blow this thing out of the water? Why does it blow the 9980XE out of the water? Because like, fair enough it being quite close to the 9900K, but even so, like that 9900K must be a good CPU for it to have like half the core count of this one and more of a just a slightly higher clock speed. Like I think it's like 300 megahertz. In the grand scheme, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. But why they're so closely nicked? Like, does that 300 megahertz really make a difference on this CPU to make it the same as that? Like, is that really a thing? Does that really make that much of a difference? 300 megahertz? Really? I don't know. Again, I'm just coming up with ideas for future videos as I go here. That's actually quite cool. Right, so 8,334 for these benchmarks. What I'm going to do is, just to save time, I'm just going to take this. I'm just going to use this PC anyway, because we know that we know there's going to be higher for each different one. So if we put the ROG Super in, and I'm just going to benchmark this one. We're not going to bother with our server one anymore because I don't need to. But what I want to do with this one is, if we just go set this one going, I want to see how much that 300 megahertz actually makes of a difference. So if we go into the CPUs, if we go Ryzen 9 3950X, it's a 4.7 megahertz. So what I'm going to do, shut this down, boot up into the BIOS, and I want to go to CPU overclock and downshift this to 4.7 and see what happens, and see how much of a difference the benchmark. I haven't got XMP on because why not? Why not? So apply changes, restart, yes, and see how much of a difference that makes as far as the benchmarking score is concerned. Because I'm not sure, I can't quite remember. We've been at this before. What the benchmark, what the base clock for the 9900K is. I think it's 4.5. It's either 4.5 or 4.6. So if it is 4.6, which is actually the more like, it's for some reason it always seems to be an even number, a clock speed. So 4.6 seems a bit more realistic. I don't think it's as low as 4.4. And 4.2 seems ridiculously low anyway. But 4.6 I think is the middle ground. I think that's the base clock of it anyway. So even so, like that's not going to be too much of a difference as far as the benchmarking score is anyway. So yeah, I'm quite interested to see like how that makes that much of a difference. Like, is it just me being stupid or what? I don't know. We've also got some new monitors in this one. We've got, so this is the ROG Swift PG27UQ that we've got at the moment, but we've also been given this Asus ROG Swift PG27979, sorry, QE. I was trying to think then. Actually, looking at it, it's quite nice to monitor. I wouldn't, like, yeah, oh, it's a pivot monitor. I do love pivot monitors. I played with one at Eurogamer a few years ago. They're so cool. Pivot monitors are so good. But yeah, right, have you finished? Right, so in all fairness, I'm not sure what the difference is between the 2060 and the 2070, but the benchmark score's not actually that high. It's not much higher as far as the Super's concerned. Now, we will do a video in the future comparing, as I said earlier, the base clock series versus the Super series of the RTX series. But I'm not going to do that today, because otherwise this video is going to go on for ages, and I sort of want to make that into a separate video. So that's nearly 10k, and it's about 1,000 more than what the 2060 was. So that's quite understandable. I'll come to that in a second. Let me just set this one going as benching. Also, just wanted to make a note. What's the CPU score? So 1134.2. So let's take this out and put in the 2080 and see what that one benches at. Just because, like, I'm interested to see, like, what they bench at anyway. Now, unfortunately, there is no 2080 Ti Super because, that would be a machine if you had those in SLI. My God. I want to also see how those work in SLI as well, which would be quite interesting to see. And I'll pay attention to the temperatures because I'd expect they're in, like, relative temperature, like, stuff anyway, because they're relatively easily cooled. It's not a massive issue. Okay, so it's brought it down, not by an awful lot, though. So what was it? What was the AMD one? It was 1132.7. My laptop's making noises. It's not flat. Never mind. That'll do. It's alright. Yeah, so it was 1132.4 or 1134.2 or something like that. So it's about. So the difference on its base clock is just short. It's just shy. It's, well, I say it's quite a lot different. It's not though. It's only 1,000 points. Now a lot of people say, "Oh, 1,000 points is a massive difference." Yada yada yada. It's not though. That's quite surprising actually. That, like, this CPU, the 9900K, is like, it's a consumer CPU, very much like that AMD CPU is over there. It's a consumer CPU. It's quite heavily priced, but considering it's an 8-core CPU with a relatively similar clock speed on base without overclocking, and the fact that it can, like, be on par with the AMD Ryzen 9 that is basically the same got double the core count but the same clock speed as what we're testing here, and it benches pretty much the same. I don't see why people would go for that AMD Ryzen, because hear me out a minute, right? Let's check what the score is from here. Okay, so it's just over 10k. That's about an acceptable, like, that makes sense. So we'll do some more tests. I just wanted to see, just use this video to play about the new parts and the new case and just see how well the GeForce RTX Supers benchmark. In the future, we will do more testings and seeing which one's better and whatnot. But in the testings of the Ryzen, this Ryzen 9 and the 9800K, two of the top of the range consumer CPUs. Considering the price of the Ryzen, right, and I'm not entirely sure that the core count makes that much of a difference. It obviously does make some difference in benchmarking because multitasking and stuff like that is, you know, brilliant. But I'm going to put on the screen now what the pricing is between the 9900K and the Ryzen 9. Not MSRP. This is what I found on Amazon, right? And it's going to be in Great British pounds, so transfer it if you want to. But I'm going to put what is cheaper. Now, in my personal experience, this 9900K is going to be more expensive than this Ryzen 9. If that is the case, I would go for that Ryzen 9. And I'll tell you why I would go for that Ryzen 9. Is because even though it benches the same as an Intel, it's got the double core counts. And if you're multitasking, if I edit on my PC, which is a quad core at this moment in time, it is going to be 8 cores in soon enough, but it's quad core at the moment, versus my laptop that is 6 cores, it's so much quicker on my laptop and even the clock speed's lower, but because of the the multi-core enhancements that Intel's got, which is in favor to Intel, might I say. But because of the more cores in that CPU, it works so much better. Now, I would go for that Ryzen just because, the clock speed that you're going to get with your Intel, for the price that you pay for it, is going to be about the same core clock speed as what we get on this PC that we've benchmarked here. And it's ever so slightly lower, and again, for 1,000 points, it's not a massive issue. But for the price to performance ratio, the Ryzen actually benches higher, all by slights, mind you, but it benches higher for the same clock speed, but for double the core count, so you can get more for less. And this is where AMD is getting the foothold at the moment, as far as CPU marketing is concerned. They are pushing so much. Like AMD have announced they're making a 64 core, 128 thread ripper. Like, how's that gonna work? What is Intel gonna do to that? They can't make a 64 core CPU because that's gonna be like $5,000 as far as Intel's concerned, based on what we've got at the moment. Intel cannot do it. They've got to keep up, and if they're gonna keep up, they need to lower their prices because at the moment, Intel is struggling. I'm moving from Intel to AMD because the price to performance ratio is so much better because of I wanted an 8-core CPU at a relatively high clock speed. This one that I'm going to get is an 8-core CPU at 3.7 GHz, which can be overclocked to 4.2. That is so much more better than the Intel equivalent, which is the 9900K. This CPU is going to cost me about 180 quid, right? 180 to 210. The 9900K, which is the equivalent, would have cost me 450 quid. And I'm not even saying this just because I'm a cheapskate, because I am. And I know I am. And I can freely admit, if there's a bargain and I can get something for cheaper, I'll 100% do it. I love Black Friday and stuff like that and Christmas sales, because if I can get something for cheaper, I'm going for it. But, as far as CPUs are concerned, it goes for GPUs as well. I want to go for the bang for the buck. So price to performance, bang for the buck. Most amount of money for what you're paying. AMD have got it in the bag at the moment. You know, they've put more in there. They've put double the cores of the 9900K for less money. Like, how would you not go for that? So, and considering their bench is higher anyway because of the clock speed, like, I don't know. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, don't forget to smash that like button and hit that subscribe button for more awesome gaming content. I will be, I'm trying to think of new video ideas as we go along. There will be new videos that will come up with testing these different graphics cards especially, and I know that is going to come and we will do that, but that will take a little bit of planning, so because just to get it through, because we'll have a lot to test. I'll build the PCs outside of camera, then we'll come in and they're all like ready for me to use and benchmark and then discuss about. But we might do some more testing on the CPU side. It depends on if I get any ideas. Maybe we can test the Ryzen 9 up against its Threadripper brother. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see what happens. But anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I shall see you all later. Bye!